What's going on, everyone? Your mom's favorite YouTuber KKS here, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be part 2 of my 2021 NFL mock draft. Part 1, I posted, was it yesterday, I believe, when I upload this. It'll be yesterday. So make sure to check that one out before watching this one. That video was picks 1 through 8. And this is going to be picks 9 through 16, I believe. And so, yeah, if you haven't watched that video, watch that first. Otherwise, there are probably going to be spoilers in this video. And yeah, if you haven't watched the previous video, the format is like this. At the top, we're going to start with the number of the pick, the team selecting, the player they pick, and the position that player plays. This is going to be a non-trade mock draft. So just to make things less complicated with the trades, it's rarely ever accurately predicted. So, I mean, this is the best chance we have of getting a perfect mock draft, which is not going to happen. I'm probably going to get most of these wrong, but it's good to put your predictions out there, and when you get one correct, you feel good. And then last but not least, at the bottom right, we have I'm gonna have a number for each player, and that's gonna be that player's rank on my big board. So previously I said for Trevor Lawrence, he was number 5, just for example. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to start off with a big one. The Denver Broncos at pick number 9, they are going to be selecting quarterback Mac Jones. Now, I know Denver has Drew Lock, and he's only played one full season, but I don't think Elway is going to stay patient with him. He hasn't been patient with guys in the past, and I think he's going to draft another QB this year. And if Mac Jones is available, I don't see him passing him up. Um, the previous video, I mentioned the 49ers taking Justin Fields, going against popular belief that they will take Mac Jones. And the report that came out recently saying the 49ers were deciding between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. I mean, I don't know how accurate those are. They've said in the past that um, the only two people who know who the 49ers are picking are Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And those guys certainly wouldn't be leaking information to reporters. So I don't know if it's false information that they planned, like a smokescreen or anything, but it's hard to believe that they're deciding that report would be true. I mean, in the past, they've lied to the not lied, but tricked the public. In 2017, they fooled everybody thinking they were gonna take Trubisky, and the Bears traded up for him. In 2018, like nobody projected that they would draft Mike McGlinchey because they had Trent Brown at the time. They didn't think he would be gone. In 2019, everybody kept saying the pick was going to be Queenan Williams, and it turned out to be Nick Bosa. And last year, everybody thought it was going to be like Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb at pick 13, but it ended up being Javon Kinlaw, with Brandon Ayuk and being taken at 31, who they would have taken at 13 if Kinlaw wasn't available, by the way. So the more I hear Mac Jones is the pick, the less I believe it. And I think it's going to be either Fields or Lance. In Denver's case, I just don't see any player available at this point that they would really need. Um, Surtain and Jaycee Horn are good players, but do they need a corner? Not sure. Not as much as a quarterback. Um, so, I mean, a likely scenario if they don't draft a quarterback is they trade down. But as I said, I'm not. This is going to be a non-trade draft class, and draft mock draft, not draft class. And I I think they take Mac Jones if they stay put at this point, and if the draft plays out like this. As you can see, I have Mac Jones as my number 49 prospect, which is I only listed my top 50. I'll show you guys in a future video. So he's like second to last of my big board. So yeah, I don't like him, and you know, part of that is because he just doesn't give me that wow factor that Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson have. I mean, if we look at the positives, Mac Jones, he showed great character growth at his time at Bama. I remember he didn't, I'm pretty sure there was a report saying he got a DUI or something, and you know, this season he showed great growth and led Bama to a national championship. He's very accurate. He's a great decision maker. The mental things are there. He checks all the boxes when it comes to like, yeah, that mental aspect of the game. And he has the arm strength needed at the next level. And he won a national championship, so he has that experience. So that all sounds like good things about Mac Jones. The problem is there are a lot more negatives, I believe, in his game than there are positives. First of all, he's got poor physique. He's got the dad bod. They call him Macaroni Jones. I mean, that could always be improved upon. We saw Tom Brady. Look at the way he came into the draft class. He was in no means in good shape, but I mean, look at him now. 7 Super Bowls. He's going for 8 at the age of what, 44 this season? I don't know. I mean, that's a negative, but it's obviously something that could be overcome. And he lacks athletic ability that all the other top quarterbacks have. I mean, of the top 5 quarterbacks, the next least athletic quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, and we've seen that he can make plays with his athleticism and not just his arm. Mac Jones is not good at handling pressure. He didn't have to handle a lot of pressure that often while he was at Bama. I mean, the Alabama offensive line is always solid. You had Devontae Smith getting open quickly, Jalen Waddle for the time he was healthy getting open, and Najee Harris as well. So I mean, the times that he was dealt with pressure, he didn't handle it well. It could be partly because like he wasn't really prepared for it because he doesn't go through that a lot. And he can't really avoid sacks well like the other quarterbacks can. Another thing that I noticed on film is that at times he looked a bit hesitant, like to make that big play. He often settles, and that's not something you want out of your quarterback. Um, and even though he's pro ready, I still wouldn't want him to start his rookie year, because if he goes out there and he has a bad game or two or three, it'll take a hit to his confidence. And I'm not sure if he's the kind of guy who'd be able to deal with that adversity early in his career. Yeah. And going from Alabama to, I mean, if he goes to San Francisco, he'll be going to a good team. But if not, and he's taken in the high end of the draft, he's probably going to go to a bad team. And they might not be able to manage him well. So, Mac Jones, it depends on where he lands. But I don't really like him compared to Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. If he goes to San Francisco, that would be the best fit for him. I think Denver would be second, or actually New England would be second. Denver would be third. But I mean, I just don't like him. So moving on, pick number 10. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. It's an interesting pick. It's been rumored that Jerry Jones loves Kyle Pitts, and in this scenario, Pitts falls right into his lap. And making this mock draft, I was kind of surprised that Pitts was available at this point. Um, but I don't think Dallas goes that direction. I think they go defense. I think they draft Patrick Surtain. Um, I mean, he's a great player. Kyle Pitts is, but I mean, you could put all the stars you want on offense, all you want, but you're not going to win games or reach a Super Bowl if your defense is going to be allowing 45 points a game. So I think Surtain is the pick, and I mean it could be Jaycee Horn as well. Both corners are available. A lot of teams have him as 1A, 1B. It just depends on your preference. It depends on your scheme, and I think Jerry Jones will like Surtain. The positives about Sertan, he's a freak of an athlete. Great size, 6'2", 200 pounds, or over 200 pounds. But he's quick as well. Great speed for a corner. He can cover both in man and zone. He brings that versatility. However, I think he'd be better in zone. Um, but I mean, he could do both. He's got great ball skills, and he checks every box that you would want out of a corner. Athleticism, mental processing, um, ability, and versatility, and yeah, pretty much. And the only thing that he doesn't check off is, I think, physicality. And it's not because he doesn't have the size, but it's because he doesn't have the strength. And just because you have size doesn't mean you're going to be strong. I want people to understand that. Um, I mean, the problems with that is press coverage is going to need some work. I mean, with strength, that'll improve. He's also not a great tackler. He struggles in run support, which you think is not going to be important for corners, but it's more important than you think. And when teams start running out the outside zones, outside runs on you, and corner's not going to be able to tackle, then there's no point if he's a lockdown corner or not. If they're just going to get 6 yards every time they run your direction, you're not going to stay on the field. So, as much as I love Sertan, I think he's a great player. I don't think he's the best corner in this draft. I think the best corner in this draft is Jaycee Horn, and I think he goes back to back division rivals. Jaycee Horn goes to New York, and if this happens, this would be one of my favorite picks in the draft. Um, I mean, I think it's a perfect fit for both Horn and the Giants. As you can see, I have him as my number 8 prospect, a top 10 player in this draft. I had Sertain at, I think, 11. I think Horn's the better player. Anyways, Jaycee Horn, he's Joe Horn's son. If you didn't know, you can, if you watch him, you can tell that he's Joe Horn's son because of how well he can read wide receivers' routes and how he jumps in front of these routes to um, make deflections or intercept the ball. Um, so yeah, he's got the um, what's it called, man? He's got the mental aspect of the game down when it comes to the wide receiver, the other side of the ball, and as a result, he's a great man-to-man corner. I think he's the best man corner in this draft, and I think he has the potential to be a shutdown man corner in this league. I think we could be calling him Horn Island in the future, although I don't know if that name would catch on. But I mean, anyways, I think he's gonna be an island in this league. And if he goes to New York, I have a strong feeling that'll be the case. Just like Sertan, he's got great size. I think they're the same weight, except JC is an inch shorter. And I love, unlike Sertan, where he struggles in press coverage, I love JC Horn in press coverage. He hits the receiver hard, coming off the line, and after that 5 yards, he's still there with them. Again, just like Sertan, he's very athletic and he has elite ball skills. I think better than Sertan, honestly. It's already elite. He's gonna come out there day one, and he's not gonna be an easy guy to attack. Um, as for the negative aspects of the game of his game, I mean there are a few. Um, you know, he's not as good in man as he is in zone, so he doesn't offer the versatility that Sertan does, that he could fit into pretty much any defensive scheme. But if he's taken by the right team, then he's going to be the best corner in this draft, I believe. I mean, he doesn't really need to be elite in the in zone coverage if he goes to a man-to-man scheme, and New York has that scheme. So if New York takes him, he's going to be a beast. And again, just like Sertan, he struggles in run support and tackling in the open field. Um, but again, I mean, that's a common issue with corners coming out of the draft, and just depends on if he can bulk up a little bit more and just work on technique and work on improving. And with hard work, he'll be great. I think though he needs to be utilized as a man corner. I think the only thing Sertan has over him is maybe athleticism slightly, and that his versatility as he can play both in man and zone. And that's why I think people have him ranked higher Most people have him ranked higher. A lot of people though have Jaycee Horn ranked higher as well, like me. And I think again, I mentioned it would be a perfect fit in New York. It fills one of the few holes that defense has, and that defensive unit's going to be one to watch. I think they could be a top 10 defense next year with Jaycee Horn. Um, and I think he could be a future top five corner in the league if he goes to New York. Remember that. I said it here first. Jaycee Horn will be a top five corner in this league if he's drafted by the New York Giants. Or maybe even other teams that he's a good fit in, but I think New York is the best fit. And so next we have, I mean, it was very weird. Back to back to back division rivals drafting 10, 11, 12, Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles. And I'm gonna like all three of the picks. I think the Eagles take the best player on the board, Kyle Pitts. Um, I mean, you see in the bottom right my ranking. I think he's the best player in this draft. And he's gonna be available at 12 in this scenario. Now, I don't think this is gonna happen. I think somebody's gonna trade up and draft Kyle Pitts. Maybe even Atlanta is gonna take Kyle Pitts instead of Parsons. But I think Kyle Pitts. I mean, the only problem is I have him falling this far because I just don't see teams with the need for Kyle Pitts. Like he's my favorite player in this draft, but I mean, if you take a look at the teams in the top end of the draft, I mean, the top three are taking quarterbacks. We know that. Atlanta has just traded a second round pick for Hayden Hurst, and he was solid for them. I don't know if they're gonna take Kyle Pitts and play with him. Cincinnati's gonna take either Sewell or Chase. Miami has Mike Gesicki. Detroit has Hawkinson. I mean, if Sewell is available in my mock draft, he was. I think Carolina takes him over Pitts. Um, if not, then I think Pitts would be the pick for Carolina. Denver has Fant. Dallas needs defense, as I said, and New York has Ingram. So even though Philly has Goddard and Ertz, I don't think Ertz will be on the roster by the time the season starts. Goddard has shown as well when he's been the starter like last year that he's injured often, and the Eagles can run two tight end sets always, and Pitts can always line up at wide receiver, which is obviously a huge need for Philly. Um, and as for Kyle Pitts, the player himself, he's the best tight end prospect I've ever evaluated. I've only been evaluating players for 3 or 4 years now. Um, I mean, he might be the best prospect like ever evaluated in other scouts' eyes. Um, and he's probably the most athletic player in this draft because not only is he super strong, but he's super fast as well. I think he ran a 4.40 or something like that. He's got great hands. He didn't have a single drop in college, like his whole college career didn't have a single drop. And he can make the catches in traffic. He shows the willingness to make catches in traffic. Again, as I mentioned, he can line up at receiver. He can line up anywhere, honestly, on the field. He can line up at tight end, outside receiver, slot receiver. You could run plays with him in the backfield as well. I mean, you got to be creative if you get a player like Kyle Pitts. He's going to be a mismatch in any system. In man to man, he's going to be too fast for linebackers. Um, and he's going to be too physical for corners. So you got to run zone against a Kyle Pitts or double coverage because he's going to be a nightmare to defend. If I had to compare him to a player in the NFL right now, um, it would probably be something like a strong Darren Waller. Darren Waller, but stronger because they both got the speed, they both got the hands, they're both great players, but I don't think Darren Waller is as strong as Kyle Pitts. And even though Darren Waller is a strong guy, Kyle Pitts is a different beast. Um, the only negative I see about Kyle Pitts is he's not a great blocker, in both pass protection and run blocking. But it's not because he doesn't show a willingness to block. And a lot of people get that mistaken. Kyle Pitts is willing to block. It's just that he wasn't able to block because of the way Florida schemed with him. Um, I mean, If he goes to a team that teaches him properly, teaches him how to block, utilizes him well, then I think he'll be a complete player in this league. I think he'll be one of, if not the best tight end in this league. When Kelsey's time is up, it's going to be between probably him and George Kittle as the two best players, two best tight ends in this league. Um, and that's it. I don't see any more negatives in his game. He could improve his football IQ, but again, he's young, and I don't expect him to be this football genius yet. And you don't really need that out of a tight end, anyways. As long as they come out and do their job, you should be fine. Um, yeah, if Kyle Pitts is the pick, Philly fans, do not be worried. Just because you have Goddard, it doesn't mean anything. Goddard and Ertz, it doesn't mean anything. Ertz will be gone. I think if he's not traded, he'll be released by the start of the season. And they'll find a way to. Don't worry about the fit. I'm sure if they take him, they'll find a way to utilize him, to where he should be utilized at. And I think this is going to be one of the best picks in the draft if it happens. Next up, the LA Chargers. If Pitts is not the pick for Philly, then he would be the perfect fit for LA. And if that were to happen, the Herbert Pitts combo could become one of the best quarterback tight end duos of all time. Not even quarterback tight end duos, just quarterback and wide receiver or tight end duo of all time. Um, However, for the purpose of this, I mean, the Chargers could always trade up. I'm not sure if the Cowboys or Giants would be able to trade down, but again, as I mentioned, Denver could trade down. And I think if it would be difficult for division rivals to, you know, negotiate a trade, but if they can do it, if the Chargers really want Pitts, they should trade up to 9 to get him if he's available, if the Panthers pass on him. But I think if the Eagles take Pitts, then and the Chargers stay put, then I think they got to go with Rashawn Slater. Um, I mean, he's the best tackle available, in most people's eyes. Um, I think like LA is definitely gonna invest somewhere on offense, and I don't think it's gonna be receiver because they got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams among a few other guys. And I mean, you could say running back, but probably not this early in the draft. Maybe in the second or third round. But so that leaves just offensive line, and they have a hole at tackle, and I think Rashawn Slater fills that hole. They want to put Herbert in the best position possible to succeed, and offensive tackle is the likely pick. If Slater's available, it'll be him. If Darisaw is available, it's going to be him. If Sewell is somehow available, I don't see how they could pass on him. But I think Slater will be the pick here. He did opt out last year, but the year before in over, I think it was 300, 350, something like that. Pass blocking snaps, he only allowed 5 QB pressures, and I think it was 1 sack or none. I don't remember. But he's got great speed. He's a great athlete in general. He could be moved to guard in the league, and I think he could be an elite guard as well. But I think that would be wasting his time. I think he should be a tackle. He went up against Chase Young a few times in college. Um, Played for Northwestern against Ohio State, and he held his own. I mean, I don't think Chase Young got a pressure in that game. So Slater did his job. He's solid in both run blocking and pass protection, and he could be used in any scheme at any position really in the league. So I don't see um, any problems with the fit in LA. Um, the only few problems I see in his game is that like he could be called for penalties a bit too much in his rookie year, because his hand placement is not ideal when blocking, and it's gonna take a while to fix it, especially in the NFL. You're gonna be going up against different sized players than those in college. But I think as long as he fixes his hand placement and stays away from penalties, he's going to be a potential Pro Bowl or even All Pro offensive tackle in this draft. So Rashawn Slater to LA at pick 13. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings. There are a couple positions they could target. A lot of people have Elijah Vera Tucker mocked to them, an offensive lineman. But I think Minnesota's going to go defense in this draft. Mike Zimmer went on the record last year saying last year's defense was the worst group he's ever coached. And I don't think he's going to be willing to take that anymore. And I think he takes the best available defensive player that also will provide an instant impact. And that player would be Jalen Phillips. Um, if they stay at 14, I think there's a very strong chance he's going to be the pick. I mean, this guy, Jalen Phillips, has a great story. He was so close to retiring from football when he was at UCLA due to like injury problems and whatnot. But he persevered through all of that, and this last year he was, I think, the best defensive player in college football, in my opinion. He proved he should be a top pick in the NFL draft. Both him and Gregory Rousseau were both beasts on the line from Miami. Um, However, they couldn't be more different in you know instant impact and overall potential. I see Phillips as the more NFL ready guy who will be a beast from day one. Very high floor player, although I don't think his ceiling is at that of Gregory Rousseau's. Um, but I'll speak on Rousseau when it's his pick. Um, yeah, spoiler alert, but I think he's going to be a first round pick. Um, but I think for the Vikings, I don't think Rousseau would be a good fit. They need somebody to perform from day one, and I think Jalen Phillips is going to be more that guy than Rousseau will. So yeah, as for Phillips, he's a very smart player, speed rusher with a quick first step, which you love to see. Um, he's a very hard worker. He can play both standing up or with his hands in the dirt, so it'll be a good fit on most defenses. I think he'll be a great fit in Minnesota, and I see him as a D Ford kind of a player. Not as strong yet, but he could be there one day. Um, the problems with Jalen Phillips, he had a lot of injuries in college. As I said, he considered retiring. Who knows if another injury will lead him to that decision quickly in the NFL. He could be a bit stronger, as I said. Um, but I mean, he's a rookie. He'll bulk up, I'm sure, eventually. And as for his technique, he relies too much on rushing from the outside. A lot of edge rushers need to utilize like swim moves to get on the inside of linemen and attack the quarterback that way. But yeah, he needs to add some tricks to help him cut inside. So at the moment, I see him as a bit of a one-dimensional player, as just an outside speed rusher, and not somebody who could cut inside. And also stopping the run, he's average, I'd say. Next up, New England Patriots. It's an interesting pick. I think they go Trey Lance. He's available at number 15, then I think they take him. I don't see New England going all out for a quarterback in this draft, but if Lance falls to them at 15, they're not passing him up. Even if Mac Jones falls to 15, they're not going to pass him up. I think it's a no-brainer they take a quarterback if they're available at 15. I don't advise trading up for one. The price is going to be too high, and it might not even be worth it if Fields is gone. Maybe for Trey Lance, it depends on the price. But I think Belichick and co will stick to pick 15 and take who they think is the best fit available. Trey Lance, I think he's got the strongest arm in this draft. He's a great athlete as well. He can run the ball well if needed. I think he's the best athlete in the draft behind Justin Fields. Best quarterback, sorry, in this draft, athletic wise, behind Justin Fields. He's got good size. He's 6'3", 210 something pounds. Um, and like the big thing that caught my eye with Trey Lance was looking at his stats. He had 24 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his last full season, which was just truly insane. I mean, how often do you see a quarterback end with 0 interceptions in a season? And also playing enough to get 24 touchdowns. I mean, he's got the potential to keep the ball away from the defense while also delivering these big time plays for the offense. Excuse me. He's a tough player as well, and he knows how to play both under the center and shotgun. A lot of people try to discredit players from the FCS level, but players from North Dakota State, they're taught to be pro ready very quick, and I think North Dakota State honestly prepares players a lot better than many Power Five schools. Um, and so Last thing about Trey Lance, last good thing about Trey Lance is that he's great at avoiding pressure in the pocket. Contrary to Mac Jones, he can avoid edge rushers the first time, the second time, even a third time if possible. He can extend the play with his legs, and he could even extend the play with his arm if needed. Um, the problems with him is that he's still a very raw player. He's gonna need a year or two as a backup. We didn't get to see him last year, or this. I mean, yeah, last year, this year-ish. I mean, we saw one game, but I mean that's not a fair analysis of him. He threw, I think, an interception in that game, ruined his perfect ratio. But I mean, considering the fact that you only play one game, I mean, how do you even prepare for a one game season? I don't know. Um, so we don't know how much he's progressed over the last year, so he's gonna need a year or two as a backup. His decision making is below average, not in the way that he will throw in double coverage, but where he will settle for a safer play rather than the possibility of a deep. I mean, I don't know if that was to like if he was trying to keep his touchdown to interception ratio like perfect or anything, but I mean, there are a lot of times on film where you see wide receivers getting open in the intermediate to deep range, and he settles for a check down. So, yeah, and part of that could be that his deep ball is a bit shaky. He has the arm strength, but I mean, the trajectory in which he throws is kind of inconsistent. Oftentimes, he underthrows receivers. Even though he has the strength, he just misjudges it. And a lot of the times he just puts too much air under the ball. He throws it too high, and that makes it difficult for the receiver to make the catch. So if he goes to New England, I'm sure McDaniels, Belichick, and the guys there will, I mean, get that fixed quick. Yeah, I still love Trey Lance. I see him as great fits in New England. San Francisco is a great fit if they take him. And I really like Trey Lance. I've got him as my number 13 prospect for a reason. Even though I have him as my number 4 quarterback, I still like him more than most. And the last pick for this video, the Arizona Cardinals. I think they take Caleb Farley if he's available. I'm not that big of a fan of Farley, as you can see by my rank of him at number 33. Not only did he opt out this past season, but I just don't see him at that same level of Surtain and Horn. I mean, he's similar in his play style with Jaycee Horn, but I just don't think he's nearly as good as him. Um, Again, just like Surtain and Horn, he's very athletic, very fast. He's got fantastic ball skills, possibly even better than Surtain, and he's a solid man coverage corner. But that's about it, which makes me a bit concerned. Just like Horn and Surtain, they struggle in run support, open field tackling. Just like Jaycee Horn, he's not the greatest in zone coverage. He's not as smart as Surtain or Horn, in my opinion. But again, we're comparing a player who opted out this past season to two players who balled out last year. And we don't know how much he's grown mentally in that span because he didn't play. Um, so I can't give a fair grade to that. But from what I saw, Horn and Surtain were much better. And I just don't see any outstanding qualities to his game aside from athleticism and ball skills. And that's just not enough for me to consider him a top player in this draft. And it makes me think he has a limited ceiling. All this said, however, I think he'd be a great fit in Arizona. I think it'd probably be the best fit for him. It looks like they're going to have a strong defense this year, with corner as one of the few holes. It's not even really considered a hole, really. They have adequate players there, but they can always improve. He's gonna have Buda Baker behind him, so he won't have to worry too much about the deep ball coming. And I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. I mean, I just don't think he has the potential that Surtain and Horn have. But anyways, that was part two of my 2021 NFL mock draft. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these picks. If your team made a pick that you like or dislike. I know probably the controversial ones are the quarterback picks and Kyle Pitts falling to 12. I mean, trust me, I love Kyle Pitts. I like him more than the average person, but I mean, it's just the way the draft plays out sometimes. Really talented players fall and teams take advantage. And knowing the Eagles' track record, they're going to need to make a good pick here. And I think Kyle Pitts will be the guy. But anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Please subscribe for more. Please subscribe so you don't miss these next two videos coming out to round out the draft class and show my big board. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.